26, 2020. Will you please take roll?
Where is she?
Steve Latour? Are you present? Gene Kirkham?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Gene Kirkham?
I'm present.
Jim Hinckley? I see Gene there.
Jim was online.
Okay, Mary Mandola, present.
Present.
Nikki Siwaya? Rennie Fossen? Deborah Sixta?
I'm here.
Okay. Thank you.
We have a quorum.
And Annie, will you now do the Pledge of Allegiance?
Go ahead, Gene.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Gene.
Okay, first I'd like to, item number 1A is approve the minutes of the January 28, 2020 meeting. I hope everybody's got a chance to look at them, and I would take a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Okay, motion passes. Let's see, we don't have any, how do we do this?
We can just read it, Gene.
All right, consideration of the public comments. Those wishing to address Economic Advisory Commission need not request permission in advance. Action taken as a result of the public comments will be limited to directing staff to study the matter or rescheduling the matter for consideration for another meeting. Is there anybody who would like to speak? Okay, seeing none, I'll move on.
Okay. This is what you do in a virtual meeting.
Okay, virtual meeting. We're going to read this?
Yes.
Okay, the virtual meeting public comments may be submitted to the clerk's office. In-person attendance is suspended at this meeting due to COVID pandemic. This meeting will be held through technological means. Public comments may be submitted in writing to the clerk via email. The clerk's address is cityclerk@cityofkingman.gov by placing them on the drop box in the city complex or mail them directly to the city at 310 North 4th Street, Kingman, Arizona, 86401. Comments will be accepted up to 9 a.m. May 26th. All comments will be shared with the council and made part of public record. Members of the public wishing to listen to the meeting via channel 4 on YouTube, at youtube.com/City of Kingman. That's it.
Annie, did we receive any written report, any written questions?
We did not.
Okay, let's move on to reports. Item number 3, Main Street Vista program update.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this point, we have with us Gina Gavasi, who is the new leader for the new girl that came in on the Vista program. And she's been with us starting in early March. The challenges for this poor young lady was that she came right in the middle, right on top of everything coming down on COVID. But I just want to also give her a personal head nod that she did a fantastic job. She's assisted both Josh and Sylvia in meeting with downtown folks, getting the word out. So with that, I will have her do a brief update on the Vista program, and then we can entertain questions after that. Thank you.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Gina Gavazzi. So a lot of what I've been working on since I got here in mid-March has been COVID response, obviously. So we've been pushing a lot of materials, funding sources, and things like that on our website and through email campaigns. And as we're sort of moving into a reopening phase where we've been doing a social media campaign where we reallocated some funds and bought up gift cards from the downtown businesses. And so we've been posting those and trying to get some engagement online for to drive some foot traffic downtown. So those are like sort of the major things that I've been working on.
Okay, very good. Nice to have you here. I'm Chairman Kirkham, and I'm delighted to have somebody in that position. We've been lacking that in it for a very long time. I know Josh has been doing this as best he can, but with your help, I'm sure we can start opening up and moving forward.
Thank you. We will, Chairman Kirkham, we will also do whatever we set up for a future meeting to bring in and really detail our relationship with Vista and the other benefits that certainly came with the program. So, and we do have, just as you all know, so you all know, we have Gina with us until on the contract with Vista until March of next year.
Oh, that's fine. Questions for Gina? Seeing none, we'll move on. Thank you, Gina, and welcome. Okay. Item B, economic development update.
Mr. Chairman, I will head this off. I'd like to combine, if I could. Unfortunately, Mr. Johnson, our airport manager, is on vacation, but I wanted to take a few minutes to certainly update all of you on what's been happening on the aviation side. Bennett will certainly fill you in on the other side, as will Sylvia on the retail work. The engineers have worked on the FAA Runway 321 grant program, and so actually the other day, it's not updated in the notes, but we did receive the bids for the runway update, and they came in well under the proposed engineering bidding amount, so that looks extremely positive for us. We also concurrently have been working with the consultants, Kaufman and Associates, and the S&C Engineering to get the 1,800 acres released simultaneously while also going through and doing the master plan update. One of the things that I'd like to update you on, in working with the FAA, something came to light that none of us had seen before, and it's called an Act 163. And right now we're also running parallel with this third item to see if we qualify. If it is, it is a no strings release from the FAA of that 1,800 acres. This would be ideal for us. But it's only been seen in one other area in the Western region, but we are working closely with the FAA. Bennett and I have been busy, as all of us have been, working with a rather substantial client. And so one of the things that we've been pushing for is a letter of intent to release from the FAA, and we're hopeful that's coming fairly shortly too. So that has gone well. We've continued to research the aircraft storage, and just to let you all know, we've had, along with Cassie has brought in over the last couple of weeks an additional 20 plus aircraft for storage. And with that, Steve Johnson went ahead and we worked with our Public Works Department, and we were able to create 80 more parking spaces by providing taxiways. So we had to go out and grade the land, and then our Public Works graded it, and then we brought in millings. So we compacted all of that so that they had a firm area in which to bring the planes to the ground to be put on the airport grounds. So we also had redesigned and implemented a program for CASI, a Kingman Air Service, to consolidate their airplanes a little closer together and take better advantage of the spacing. Between those two things, we were able to provide an additional 80 parking spaces. We also now received a $69,000 grant. You may have seen that in the paper. GOSAR's office announced. We signed the paperwork on that a couple of weeks ago. And now that at $60,000 will allow us, after some engineering work, to extend the fence line to move it out so we can now, if need be, and we're probably going to proceed anyway, provide additional 200 parking spaces for aircraft. That would bring our ability to well exceed 500, almost 600 aircraft that we could park here. So with Cassie's new ones, we have approximately about 185, 190 planes right now. We're also going on a weekly basis and putting down tail numbers and making sure that all that's in place. Here's the difficult part, you guys. This is great news for Kingman, and because we have the facilities, it's really tough news for the aviation industry. The experts that we talked to last week had noted that international travel is on the uptick a little bit. They see some improvements in those flights, but domestically, it's as bad as 90%. And so a lot of airplanes are coming offline, and we have the storage capability. The difficult part to also accept is that Cassie has also received words on some of the older model airplanes that were here that they will go to the junk pile. So you can see what the industry is going to be doing. They're going to be shimming it down. So, so that is that on the airplane part. We also were made aware that the federal money, there's some additional federal monies that we've gone after that could ensure us to do a 100% grant work on the additional runway work that we need. So we are in hot pursuit of that. So that's pretty much what's happening on that side of it. The other update would be is that we are just in the tail end of completing the pilot's lounge. We've been supplied furniture from the Mojave Museum. We've also found stuff online. For an example, we wanted to add a 48-star flag to represent the era. That's all on its way here now. So we will be updating the Wi-Fi. The room is ready to go, so pilots will have access. Currently, a construction crew is moving the fence line to the building. The building will then become the barrier, as you have seen in other airports. And instead of having it a prison-like look, it'll have that welcoming look. And so that we're really excited about that. So we're gonna, then we'll be re-landscaping in front of the terminal. So I hope to be able to announce to you within the next week or two that we will have the pilot's lounge open. When you currently walk in there, it is a wonderful retro feeling as if you just time warped back into the 40s. We had furniture donated from a lady in Havasu, which was an original leather couch from that era. Some really cool stuff. So the room is nicely done. So we're excited about that. And we will also be setting up a code for access into the room and everything else. Bennett will probably update you a little bit more in his presentation, but we've completed the aviation website, and we've also are working very diligently with the aviation company that to help promote aviation businesses to the Kingman Airport. So both of those things are well, the airport website is completed now, and so we will be continually updating that. So we're certainly excited about that to make sure that we have a strong online presence for the airport. Okay. So again, I just wanted to reiterate that our time tracks, and that is that we will be having a public meeting sometime in June, which will be for the final approval, which is step 4 of the master plan for the airport. And then we hope that right after that, we will be able to bring to you that we're close to the release. One of the things that we have learned is that in order to sell the 1,800 acres, whether we sell it in little pieces or big pieces, we will again have to go to the city for an election for permission to sell. We did find out that the original election was only for the 1,100 acres that pertained it to the phase one. So so we're getting set on that. So somewhat of a learning experience as we go, but we think we'll be in good position for that. So that's really what I have on the airport side. Bennett, unless you can think of anything else. Just hit your space
Just
bar.
had to unmute there. One of the things I can do, if we can share this, I could just show you really quickly the airport website. I don't know if everybody can see that. So here we have the airport website. You have pilot information, community relations, aviation activity, maps, directions, documents, online requests, so that if they've got any requests. We've kept the World War II history with regards to the look and the feel, obviously, of the site. Really neat little site. So if you get a chance, just go to KingmanAirport.com and you guys can take a look around. There's some stuff that we're going to continue to add. We're going to get some demographic data and information put on here within the next week. So we'll just continue to add to it, make it better, fix any issues as we go. So if there's any questions about that.
Bennett, could you expound a little bit on the aviation marketing?
So we're also, I've been working with Lisa in the office here to create some new aviation marketing one pieces. And those have been, one of them is completed. So that one is going to actually, we're going to be able to go post that to the website and start sending it out to anybody who's inquiring, wanting some additional information. We're going to add to that as well. We're going to do some one-piece marketing documents just on our available properties that we have to lease on the aeronautical side as well. So we're going to be working on that as well.
To expound a little on that, one of the things that we have had is, in addition to Cassie, we have had 3 other companies that do airport storage of airliners inquiry to us. So we've been entertaining those folks over the last couple of weeks too. So most of it is the fact that Kingman still maintains that reputation that it had this tremendous storage capacity, you know, as a result of World War II. But so we're now waiting. We're working with those folks just about on a daily basis. So, Bennett, could you also just talk a little bit about the aviation marketing firm that you work with?
Yeah, we've got a firm called Aviation Marketing Consultants, and we've basically hired them to help us with, you know, obviously getting the word out there, also putting the marketing documents together, getting the content that we have put in them, and our agreement is it's a year contract, and you know we're probably 3 months into that contract at this point.
One other thing on the update of the master plan, there is a group here that is interested in forming another aviation museum. So property has been set aside and earmarked on the master plan, and it's located right near our tower. And the city manager has also instructed us to, as you know, we went through phase 1, which was the evaluation of the tower, and was it structurally sound? And we found it to be structurally sound, and we had the engineering recommendations. Bill Schilling is now helping us try to secure another grant to bring the tower to complete restoration. The difficulty will be that we can never ever meet the safety requirements today, so the tower would not be something we could climb up in, but we could do a number of things certainly around it. Right next to the tower is 1.73 acres that has been put in reserve for a future air museum. So as time progresses, I will certainly share with this committee what's going on there. But that's pretty much it on the air side. So I think with that, now for reporting wise, Mr. Chairman, we can turn it over to both Sylvia and Josh, and I will let them report on their areas accordingly.
One question. On that acreage that we're acquiring, is that going to be in inventory for the airport or for the industrial park?
So it's all industrial.
It's all industrial.
Yeah,
so
it's all outside the airport. The airport has already been defined. So,
okay,
you know, it's strictly
inventory for industrial use.
It will be the pathway for the new route to I-40. Understood that. So yes, so that. All right, so Sylvia and Bennett, if you'll proceed, please.
Mr. Chairman, would you like an update on tourism or economic development first?
Tourism, because that's where we're almost at a dead stop right now because of this quarantine. But hopefully we get rolling. Yeah, go ahead with the tourism, Josh, please.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. Members of the commission, just a quick update. So let me adjust my microphone here for a moment. It's a little bit of feedback on our end. The Office of Tourism staff relocated in our new offices upstairs on March 9th, and the Main Street Vista joined us on March 16th. That was directly before the closures with COVID slow the spread. So we did close the offices on March 21st, and we remained closed until May 11th. During that time, we also lost a couple of our employees. And so it was a good time for us to restructure what was going on within the visitor center. We kept sight on the cars that were showing up that we missed, and we missed in those times, or at least over a week that we reviewed, between 3 and 13 cars, knowing that we have an average of 2.5 people per visit. We missed about 33 people per day on average. So not a whole lot. And then on May 12th, we resumed with limited hours. We're starting with Tuesday through Friday, 9 to 4 p.m. And the first week we had between 39 and 59 people coming in. And by week 2, 60 to 110, which is about, for the week, it's about an 8% of our normal visitation. Our sales were also about 7-8% of our normal sales for a week at this time. We did hire on a new person that just started today, a part-time person. And then we have one of our part-time people who will be migrating in to replace a full-time position. So we're still going to be short. And we are continuing to watch our hours and when people are coming in. We're looking at hotel occupancy. Right now, we can't add additional days of operation until Public Works has been able to secure proper cleaning, sanitization, and paper products. Right now, everything's on back order. So with 4 days a week for a period of months, we're able to operate without that being a concern. As we are able to bring in more supplies, we'll increase operations to assist the visitors that are coming through. During the time of the closure, we've been working on some different projects, including restructuring the gift shop. So we added some slat wall for the product. We removed the crowded clothes stands. We added digital displays with travel information and history of the powerhouse into the visitor lobby. Reorganize our bookshelves and display gondolas to better display product, as well as create that 6-foot separation for social distancing with our visitors in the gift shop and our shoppers. We moved security cameras around to better capture what was going on, and we rearranged the front desk space so that it's less crowded and we're able to receive product in the back office and not have that up in the front. We also worked with the museum to renovate the museum display spaces downstairs between the Route 66 and electric vehicle exhibits. and we added some sneeze guards at the front desk. We have a full wraparound. On May 20th, last Wednesday, we had our inaugural lighting of the Kingman Visitor Center and Arizona Route 66 monument sign. It was a virtual event that we co-opted and co-shared with the Historic Route 66 Association of Arizona and Arizona Office of Tourism. Legacy Signs and Kingman Main Street also helped to co-sponsor that so that we got a little bit wider base. And we're continuing that momentum this week with the Win the Pin on 66 photo contest, which goes through the end of this month for National Photography Month. Another one of the projects that we were working on during the shutdown is gathering and compiling the contacts for the motor coaches that we had visited the Powerhouse in 2018 and 2019. We're utilizing that list to build some contacts that we can reach out to and let them know about the new motor coach parking downtown. So far, there's been 235 motor coach companies that we've entered into that. And then we have 13 others that just aren't open right now. Actually, a lot of them are kind of sidelined. For the most part, they're not in operation. So trying to get that contact information has taken some time. I've reached out to the downtown businesses and restaurants a couple times. I'm gonna have to do it again to get hours of operation. I think right now everyone's really in more of a state of limbo. They don't know what they're going to be able to offer, what their days are going to be, if they can have restrooms available for group tours. So we're holding on to that information, and we'll reach out when the timing becomes right. We're also watching the National Tour Association comments and feeds. There are some different discussions going on between the tour operators, discussing among one another and sharing ideas. So we're watching that to know when things come back up, what the tours will look like, you know, how big they might be and what sort of destinations and attractions they're looking for. So we can share what amenities we have that will match up with what will suit the best needs of the tour groups. During the months of March and April, we put our Arizona Office of Tourism Marketing Cooperative projects on hold, the digital display things that we could. We're relaunching those next week in June. And our social media messaging has really shifted to an inspirational and plan now, visit later. As things open back up and the mood shifts, we will push that more into marketing what people can do. For a few of our posts that we had during the pandemic, there were we had some pushback. So we're just real careful. We want to make sure that, you know, the message that we send out is positively received in the community and by our visitors. We also had a web page dedicated to COVID updates. We had a page that had the takeout and drive-through hours, locations, specialty hours. We marketed that on social media as well as in the minor, both the print and the online versions. Some projects we're working on right now is a mural that we're working with the Mojave County WEX program to put on the side of the building. It's gonna be an old-fashioned postcard sort of thing, and it'll say, wish you were here. We're real excited about that coming in. That should be installed in June. The Arizona Highways TV show contacted the mayor's office asking for some ideas about doing an episode with the businesses featured that were most hit hardest during COVID. So we've been working with several of our local partners and the mayor's office to compile that and get that information over to them. And they've received it and let us know that they've appreciated getting that information. We'll be back in touch with us to try to coordinate something to give some exposure to Kingman. We've also been researching a CRM, customer resource management program, and we're trying to find something that we can collaborate with the other departments, seeing that a lot, especially for a lot of the businesses, it's something that would be cross-reference for planning and zoning, for the clerk's office, and business licenses and all of that. So that's another project we've been working on. Actually, right after this, we've got a demo with a Salesforce third-party partner to go over their product line and economic development. And the business recovery support, we've been working with the Chamber of Commerce to develop some posters and table tents. Right now, we're actively securing some hand sanitizer that we can make available to some of our front end staff at some of the businesses, just to try to provide some support with some of those things that are hard to come by. And we've been doing, as one of our Arizona Office Tourism Marketing Cooperatives, a audit of Google My Business pages in Kingman. We sent over 200 businesses that were either downtown retail, restaurant, attraction, or hotel that were in the service industry, and they performed an audit on those businesses, and we're working through trying to get that information updated, help those businesses be shown in the best light, because really people look at Kingman through the eyes of looking at the different listings of businesses. And as part of our recovery plan for fiscal year 2021, we're working up some quotes to do audits of Google My Business pages, more general for businesses in Kingman, as well as on Facebook pages and profiles. The next major project we'll be tackling and starting on is the Route 66 drive-through shield. We are working on the design of that this fiscal year, and then we'll work on the installation of that next fiscal year. So I know one of the things everyone is probably interested in hearing is our hotel performance. Nationwide hotel performance has been hit pretty hard, and I don't have the latest numbers, but for a while it was down to around 30% or lower. And Kingman has fared a little bit better because we're a smaller community, we're not near the metro areas, and because we're an interstate community, and some of that's due to the truck traffic. But for the latest weekly report, which was the week of May 10 through 16, and we have seen a gradual increase actually over the last 5 weeks. The lowest point was the week of April 11th, but our occupancy was at 58%. That's a 24% overall decline from the same week in 2019 at 77%. So 77 down to 58. Revenue per available room was also down from $78 in 2019 to $65 in 2020. So that's a 17% decline. And overall revenues were down 37%. That shows a pretty good increase over what we saw for the month of April. We got the month of April report showing occupancy at 45%. So that compares to the most recent week of 58%. That compares to 74% in April of 2019. I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers out here, so if anyone wants me to repeat anything, let me know. And revenue per available room was at $59 compared to $76.65 in 2019 for the month of April. And then revenues overall, it was a 52% reduction year over year. Now, like I said, that compares to 37% reduction for the most recent week, which was one within the month of May. When we put together our budgets for fiscal year 2021, we looked at the overall first 6 months, which are the July through December of 2020, being about a 34% decline. So we're pretty much right on track with that. We think we've got a budget that's going to work, and we'll keep you posted as we get into the next meeting. Any questions?
One question, you're gonna form a committee for the drive-through arch?
I'm sorry, Chairman?
Are you gonna have a committee for the drive-through arch?
That's something that we can certainly discuss.
Josh, I was talking with the chairman that we would do something very similar to what we did, certainly with the marketing effort, but I think it would be appropriate to have one representative from this group represented when we do the sign thing. So
okay,
evaluate the design. So, Mr. Chairman, you know, if there's anybody that would like to step forward, we certainly could do that.
Mr. Hinckley, is there any way you could squeeze a little time for this project?
Yeah, I probably could, sure.
I think you're the man for the job, Jim, if you want it.
I'll always help where I can.
Okay. All right, Josh, get a hold of Mr. Hinckley there. We got something going with that, please.
Okay, will do.
I had one question. The website traffic, because I manage a bunch of websites, I saw an increase. Do you have any of the Go Kingman stats on the website? Did more people start visiting the site to get info?
I don't at this time, but I will look at that information. I can bring that to the next meeting.
And then the second thing was, have you guys started looking at possibly creating virtual tours of area amenities that people could watch from wherever they are?
You know, one thing we've looked at is Google does have a virtual tour generator, and we've started to play around with that. We've worked with the Route 66 Association of Arizona to create a virtual tour that we can launch when we get the passport printed. And we're going to see how that goes. If that gets a pretty good response, then we'll work with Main Street and do something for downtown Kingman, which I think would be good for the murals and the art places and you know, the experiences that are unique to Kingman. So it's a good point. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, also too, we have, as many of you seen, already dedicated in the downtown area 2 dedicated parking places for tour busing, and we're working on the 3rd. And part of Josh's contact with the motor coach companies is to assure them that we have those. But as Josh said, one of the things that they want from us, and they would like to know that what businesses downtown, when they park, will accept their people for restroom use, etc. So we're working through that right now, but we have dedicated those sites. Public Works has marked them, and so one is down by the theater, the other one is up by the fire station, and we're working on a 3rd location now. So we made it sure that one of the things the bus companies said is they must have easy ingress and egress, and they avoid backing up whenever possible.
Any other questions for Josh? Seeing none, I'll move on. I guess Sylvia is going to do the economic development update. Sylvia?
Good afternoon, Chairman, Commissioners. It's good to see you finally, even though it's not quite in person. It's good to see all your faces today. So basically, Josh did cover a lot of things that, because we've actually found that now that I moved over to the Kingman Visitor Center, we work a lot on business retention more than each other realize. So now that I'm over here, I'm working very close with Chamber of Commerce, the tourism department, Main Street, and we're collaborating really well with being able to contact a lot of the businesses, especially during this time that we had the COVID and all the shutdowns. We definitely teamed up in various ways to contact the various businesses, and don't let me forget SBDC as well. So we were basically providing a lot of information for upcoming webinars and classes related to the SBA loans. If anybody had questions, we were deferring them to Lisa over at SBDC to help us out, you know, help them out, actually answer a lot of the questions. Did a lot of visitation, like Josh said. Definitely did quite a bit in that area, but he did cover most of that part. So I'm going to go ahead and move on. But if you do have questions, be sure to ask me after. Retail recruitment. So this was an interesting time to come into retail recruitment with the shutdowns. But at the same time, I was able to keep in touch with many of the retailers and that were planning to develop or had a business proposed to come to Kingman, and really they just continued to move forward, such as Culver's, Dutch Brothers, and Filiberto's, as you noticed, as it was announced in the paper. So they're still moving forward, and just some general comments I got from them is that they were already set up to have like a drive-through, kind of like you saw them. They weren't hurt as much as the ones that didn't. So a lot of these businesses already have the drive-through as part of their business plan, so it really didn't slow them down as far as developing. I am talking to several others. In the meantime, it does seem this is about the time where more people are getting back into the grind of things and wanting to move forward with more development. And did meet with a nice retailer last week as well. So as more information comes up on that, I will let you know. Besides that, I was supposed to go to ICSC, a multi-franchising conference. So those were postponed until next year, which is fine. We'll get prepared and we'll do it again next year. We continue to work with the retail attractions representative, Ricky Hayes out of Retail Attractions. And that is part of what I'm doing when I'm actually reaching out to a lot of these retailers. I do have like a lot more meetings than I used to, reaching out to local plaza owners, the local developers, trying to really get in and get to know them a lot better, see what how I can assist them, what we can do to get more of the suites filled. So it definitely looks positive. Probably can give you more on that next month. Let's see, moving on, I had a lot of census work. So this was another thing to be interesting in while there's a shutdown, because originally we had a lot of pop-ups planned, and same with the Census Bureau themselves, and we got delayed. But yet at the same time, the city of Kingman is at 70.8% as of today, which that's the self-response rate, and that has bypassed the 2010 rate of 65.5. So we're already doing better now, but we still need people to respond. And I think that's one thing that maybe not everybody realizes, is that it's not over. April 1st was the census day, but it's not over. We still need people to respond. So we continue to do outreach with that as a team. And last week, I believe it was last week. Anyway, last week or the week before, we actually did like 1,500 door hangers in the downtown area, trying to remind people to take the census. Besides that, looking for future, I'm working on several incentive programs. We have some in place. We have facade improvement program, parkless pedlet program, infill incentive program, and then in the future, a proposed sign and mural program. But for the facade improvement program, we did have 3 people apply during this last time, and one did complete the improvements, which was T-Dog Merchants, so that was really nice. We have 2 that just kind of postponed during this time, and then they will continue. But for the future, we're planning on expanding the program, because what we found is with the amounts that we had this time around, people could do improvements, but maybe not large ones, maybe not an awning. You know, they could do more like a little door or lights. So we're going to expand the program to include more money, allow more people to do maybe larger scale things. And we're looking at an architect, trying to get an architect. Okay, I'm not sure what to do with that. Sorry if there's an echo. Josh is going to come help me.
You're okay here.
Okay. Okay, so maybe, is that better? Okay,
Fine.
just checking. All right, so over here, okay. So we were checking the echo, sorry about that. So continue with the facade improvement program. That's a really positive thing for the next fiscal cycle. And then I do continue to work on the zoning ordinance update with the planning and zoning staff. And right now we're currently reviewing the admin draft. And we do have an update presentation going to council on June 2nd, I believe. Anyway, so where the contractor for the zoning ordinance update will be providing an update along with staff to show what we have found up to this point. Basically, that's pretty much everything I can remember, but I'm sure there's things I forgot because we've been doing so much, and I haven't been to the last, I wasn't able to be at the last meeting, so there was a lot of catch up to do. Anyways, if you have any questions, please let me know.
Okay, Sylvia, thank you. I do have a couple of questions. Business retention, how many businesses, I hope none, did we lose in the downtown area because of COVID?
Chairman, I'm not aware of one that we have lost at this point. Josh, no? Okay, Josh is saying no. I'm not aware of any ones that we lost.
I know that Main Street had conducted a survey with the businesses maybe mid-April, and there were a few of them that were saying if this continued on for a certain period of time, they didn't know if they would be able to continue. But as far as I know, and maybe I'll check with Gina, none of the businesses downtown have closed during COVID. The closest closure we had was the Garlic Clove, and that was about almost a month before this started. So.
Okay, Josh, that's great. I'm glad everybody was able to stick in. Sylvia, what's the next step of completing the census?
Really, we're still in the self-response period. I did get a little update, and Annie's on the same census team with me, so if I forget anything, Annie, you can remind me as well. But basically the Census Bureau, they were to a point where they couldn't go out and do their canvassing, right, yet. And so now they're just starting to get the go-ahead where they can start hitting the, say, the people that have PO boxes, and they have terms for every canvass they do. But basically, the ones that hit the PO boxes, they'll be visiting their physical addresses, to get census information to them, or like our hotels that have weekly, monthly, daily types of stays, their teams will be hitting these type of places. So really, we're going to transition from us during the self-response rate, and the date is what I can't remember, but I thought it was extended till August. But we're still in that period, and as we're doing that, the census is starting to kick in and cover these other areas that we don't normally cover in self-response. And also if there was areas that didn't respond yet, then they will be hitting those residences that have not turned in a response. So they're just getting the green flag though to start going back out into the public.
Okay, so does it appear that the population has went up quite a bit, or you've got no target on that yet?
That's really, Chairman, that's hard to give a total estimate. One thing I can say is that we were at 65.5% in 2010, and that was based on the households we had at that time. So with the current list we submitted, we had an increase of households already, and we have a 70.8% self-response rate. So that would indicate an increase in population. And then we haven't even counted for the ones that Census will pick up. But it's hard for me to give you an actual number on that.
So yeah, I just wanted to guess. I know I'm hoping we got up there so we can get more money. That's the deal. And I know that people are moving in here like crazy, especially in the infill areas of Kingman, which is good. Thank you.
Correct.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just add a couple of things to Sylvia's comments. In looking at the new facade money that we're making available, one of the things that, as you know, we were certainly under a budget crunch looking at the coming year and a decrease in sales tax and stuff. But Manager Foggin pulled some additional money back into us. And so that's why the increase in the facade and the rest of it. One of the things we found was that some of the people that were looking at facade improvements really didn't know where to start or quite what to do or what should I do with my building. So one of the things we thought might be a good part of this package would be to have maybe an architect on retainer who could assist these clients. Give them, this is the idea from an architectural standpoint, maybe you'd like to look at this. But again, another way to certainly to help the smaller person or the smaller merchant or whatever, or business with, here's some designs from a professional standpoint. So we're really excited about that. But I think the biggest thing is some of these programs that you've heard from both Josh and Sylvia are really a result of money being put back into the budget. For an example, we thought about, is it because of we're gonna have some shortfalls? We thought about, for example, the drive-through shield. But the more we discussed it with the city manager, we all came to the conclusion, along with him, that this is a positive thing for this community. This is money well spent to continue to see that we're moving forward with, something that, not just like our new sign, but this will be an additional attraction. So that money remained in the budget. So
that's good. Anyone else have any questions for Sylvia? Sylvia, you're looking pretty good today, Sylvia.
Thank you.
Seen you in a long time. Anybody else have any questions for Sylvia? Seeing none, we'll move on. Bennett? Bennett is next. Bennett, you're up.
All right, can you hear me? I want to give you guys an update out here at the industrial park, a few things that have been going on. We've been, obviously, like Sylvia's mentioned, updating our websites with all the COVID information, getting a lot of that information from the state level with regards to, what these businesses need to do. The ones that remained open, we had a lot of industries out here at the industrial park that stayed open during this whole time. And so we provided them just all kinds of information about how to keep your employees safe, things that other communities and other businesses were doing to help them as they were going through this unprecedented time. We had, what I could tell, 2 businesses that shut down out here during the time, and they haven't opened back up yet. One of those businesses was supports the trade show industry. We have MC Squared out here, and they build trade show exhibits. They store trade show exhibits and then ship them out to those industries. And like if we're not doing, like ICSC and all the other trade shows that happen throughout the country, obviously they weren't going to be able to continue to remain open. Another company that kind of shut their door because they did it at a national level was the Goodyear, and they do tire retreads. Other industries just might have reduced some workforce, but they pretty much have remained at capacity to fulfill all the orders that have been made going into that. Now we expect to see as those orders are filled, particularly in the housing industry, depending on what happens in housing. You have companies like American Woodmark out here. They've remained employed during this time. And so, the time will tell with what's going to happen with a lot of the manufacturing as we come out of this, or as, things start to trend hopefully back towards the positive. Some things that we've been doing out here, we did some demo. We did a demo of some buildings in preparation of future land sale opportunities. And I can share my screen again and kind of show you guys some of the work that was done out here. So give me 1 second here. All right. This was take it you guys can all see the screen? Yeah. So this is what was called a shock center, where they did some training. Older buildings here, these are concrete buildings. They had kind of I would say a trailer, a double wide trailer here, another trailer here, and building 3B. So currently we've been able to demo this 3A building and the 2B building. This property is made up of 3 separate parcels. So as soon as we're able to, there's a parcel over here which is not very conducive to be able to be used, and then one over here which is not really large. So by getting rid of these buildings and combining these lots should make for a good opportunity for marketing to future businesses. So here's the site itself. This building over here is on the right is the other one that was torn down, and where the tractors are, you can see where they've already moved the one property. And then here's another look at that building going down. So we've been able to get that accomplished in the time. We're kind of putting this on hold right now until we see what our revenues are going to look like. So once that we come out of that, we're going to aggressively look at doing some things to market our properties. We are also, stop sharing screen there. We're also in the engineering phase on a grant project for doing some industrial roads, actually pretty close to where that property was. We're about 60% complete on those plans. And staff is now reviewing that 60%. We'll send it over to the county. We have to go through the county permitting process as well, reviewing their plans, reviewing the plans. So we expect those to go over next week to review the 60%. One of the other items that in regards to roads and preparing for the infrastructure is Lisa and I put together 2 descriptions of potential road projects out here at the industrial park. One would go across the 1,800-acre land release that Gary mentioned earlier. We had to put those descriptions together and submit them into our CEDS, which is the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy. And we are part of what's called the Western Arizona Economic Development District. And so the CEDS is a report that's generated every year, and it gives an overview of that district, and Kingman is included in that district. Those projects, in order to submit for the EDA grants, out there. You've got to put these projects into your seds, and so that's all been done. So we're going to be able to put together some grants and get those submitted through EDA for those two road projects. We've also been working with businesses to talk about fiber and get fiber expanded throughout the park. We are working with Frontier Communications on that, and we'll be getting the Arizona Commerce Authority involved because they might have some ideas on some grant opportunities that we could use to expand that broadband. So we'll be having a meeting, I'd say, within the next week with we've sent out an interest to all the businesses that really want to have that discussion. And so we're going to get all the parties together and figure out how can we best get that fiber expanded to throughout the park at less of a cost. And by grouping everybody together, taking advantage of some grants through the ACA, we'll see what we can come up with. We've also been working on some rail items. There are our original rail agreement that was done was between the old Airport Authority and Patriot Rail. Their entity was purchased at one time. So we're working with the city attorney to update those agreements. We're also working with a company by the name of Mountain State Contracting to develop various areas of the park, really come together with some plans on where we can do some transloading. We've been getting a lot of interest on some transloading opportunities. And so we've been lining out some various areas in the park where we might be able to run those lines. And we've also been putting together some cost estimates based upon projects that have been looking and following up with them. As of April 20, 2020, we've had about 620 or 630 cars stored on site, and they've switched about 151 cars for businesses out here. When you compare that to last year's numbers, we're down a little bit, not a lot. We did about 697 cars stored in April of last year, and we switched about 184 cars. If you go all the way back to 2018, our numbers are quite a bit higher. Back then, we were storing about 241 cars in April, and they switched about 115 cars. In regards to new prospects that we've submitted potential sites for out here at the industrial park, the numbers obviously have gone down during this COVID times. In February, we submitted 2 sites. In March, we didn't submit any. We didn't have any interest coming in from the state or locally contacting us. April, a little bit of an uptick, went up to one site that we submitted. And then May, this month, we actually saw a real substantial increase over the last 3 months. We submitted 3 properties, and then in regards to prospects, just looking at the park, we had 5 projects that we had that we were able to submit on as a potential viable option for businesses. Keep in mind, obviously those are a lot of times national site selection searches, as well as if they're not national, they're more of the region out here in the West. And so there's a lot of communities that are submitting on them. But of those 5, we probably got 2 of them that were specific to the industrial park, which means they actually contacted us and said, do you have land available for sale? So let's jump to Sylvia and Josh mentioned business expansion and retention. We are working with them to look at different CRM software to basically be able to keep track a little bit better of who we're talking to, and then for reporting purposes. And then also probably have a component of doing a survey of some kind coming out of COVID. I know out here at the industrial park, I'm going to be looking at doing a survey that's going to obviously involve COVID, but also a lot of other questions. Then we're going to put together a report something for the commission and the council to take a look at. Some of the other businesses that we've been working with out here, we had the Cascades with the, obviously that's going to be ramping up their closure of that building. That's going to open up 300,000 square foot. We've been working with them to the owner of that building to market. We've sent out over 3,000 businesses in Southern California marketing those buildings for lease. Talked about the airport website. We've also been working with other land sales that have happened in the past, cleaning up some deed issues that have been done at previous land sales prior to the city, being involved. ISCO Industries, that land sale was completed in late 2019. They've been progressing and developing their property. They've got it all fenced in, and that project has been moving forward. Let's see. So really, we talked about the land release. Gary mentioned that, and the items. We're really progressing quickly. We do have projects that are interested in one particular project that is interested in property in which we'd have to do a land release. We don't have enough acreage with our existing land that we have available for that project. So with that, that would be my update. If there are any questions, feel free. Thank you.
Okay, any questions for Bennett? Thank you for that report, by the way. Anybody? I have one question, Bennett. You said the land release had to go, when we would sell it, we had to go to the voters. Would that be a special election, or would that be on, we'd have to wait till next November?
I believe it could be a special election in May. Or not, I'm sorry, not May. Let's see. Yeah, it would be May. Special election could be done on May 18th, 2021. So we're looking a year away. Now we're having an election right now, but I don't believe that it can be put on, and we don't have the land released yet anyway. And so depending on the FAA and what they would allow, we've got to get that taken care of. And then once we have that, it's basically, the statute says any property that sells for over $1.5 million has to go, to the ballot for the voters to vote on. So the goal would be to take the entire 1,800 acres and get approval for the entire amount. And then as we sell properties, we would not have to go back at that point. And that's how the 1,100 acres, or as the values increased out here, they took the remaining amount of properties that they had available, and they went through that process. So land that I sell right now, we don't have to, go through that process. It's been done. If I were to sell a property over 1.5 million on our existing property, we just go straight to the process that we do currently.
Okay, yeah, I understand. I mean, we put on a release of the land, we can't put it on the ballot. So I understand that. Well, that's great, Bennett. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions? If not, we'll move on.
Mr. Chairman, just one thing I wanted to add. So as you all can see, we've been really busy with a lot of things, and then at the last city council meeting, we got busier. We've been asked now, and our team here will probably play an active role in it. You can see by their smiles, on the annexation of the 1,800 acres to the city. Now, this would not be the full part, but at least we've been asked to address the 1,800. So we won't be going out initially for a consultant on all this, because this is a very complex deal, as many of you know or have been through it. But we as city staff we've got 90 days to put our recommendations together. So we will be forming a committee internally within the city from the different departments, and now addressing what we need to do and how it will work on the annexation. So as you all know, we have no city property tax. And so the question becomes, how do you serve a facility, or how do you serve a property when you don't have that vehicle? So we have to be looking at another funding mechanism on this. So that will be going simultaneously. So we will certainly be busy with that as a result of the council meeting a couple weeks ago. So that just wanted to update you on that, Mr. Chairman.
I had a quick question about, there's been some ongoing discussion about creating a foreign trade zone at the airport industrial park. So I was just wondering if there'd been any action on that.
Benny can jump in here with me too, Mary. We did do a study and a white paper. It's not really feasible for us at this time, although it's kind of held in abeyance. You have to have an industry now that has a need and will sign up for it. The other challenge we run into is just working with our nearest customs things would come out of Las Vegas, and so Mary, they will not allow us anymore to do it on a speculative basis as that you build it and they will come. And so we did an extensive white paper, and I'd certainly be happy to share those details at our next meeting with you. But we have it. It's in our toolbox. Bennett, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, I'll just, I'll share my screen here. You go to our website, and under our reports section, we have all our different reports and studies that we've looked at. And this one's listed the 2020 Kingman Industrial Park Foreign Trade Zone White Paper. And there's a lot of good information in there. It gives you a lot of insight into, the obstacles that we'd have to overcome in order to eventually one day get a foreign trade zone. If we had a company that wanted to come here and they had a need for a foreign trade zone, then we'd have kind of a pathway that we'd have to go through to get that. So that's why we kind of went through the process of creating this. So we were, a few steps ahead. I just had a project on Friday that we submitted. They may have a need for a foreign trade zone, and we communicated this that we're receptive. The city is receptive. It's going through the process, but we do have obstacles just because of the way the foreign trade zones were set up. Through the legislative process and the requirements that they put on them. We're in a location that hinders us, because of the way that was structured. But we've been told there's ways around that. There's things that we can do, but then it goes back to what Gary alluded to. They're not allowing people to have a foreign trade zone or go through that process unless there's a user that says, we would take advantage of it. We did send out a survey as a component of this to how many businesses currently are at the park and would need this, and the need just was not there, and that's outlined in this report as well. Thank you.
That answer your question okay, Mary?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, moving on. Old business, update on the City of Kingman branding process.
Okay, I'm going to update you today, and then as soon as the council approves the final logo and stuff on June, at the next early June meeting on June 2nd, I believe, then I will share everything with you. Geo and Associates was the marketing team. Your chairman, Mr. Kirkham, was on the team with us. We went through a number of iterations on this one. The team also was our PI, Colleen. Josh was involved, Sylvia, Lisa has all who have a marketing background, as well as Bennett. And so we went through several iterations of the logo. I believe what we came up with, what ultimately Geo came up with, was modern and would facilitate very well into a monument or whatever we would choose to do. With this, very similar, you guys, to what we did with the economic development strategy, Geo will present us as soon as everything is done. Will present us with a complete packet on recommendations, website update, a number of things from their professional standpoint. They will also give us a color palette and everything and with the recommendations. So this was made to, their presentation was made to council the last council meeting. And so now they have to officially accept, and then we'll certainly go from there. It is modern. It includes 66. One of the things that many of you were part of were the meetings that took place. And so they really capitalized on the fact of the input that they had from the community leaders such as yourself on where they wanted to see. And the thing that rang loud and clear was certainly 66. So with that, we actually own all the art that was produced through the number of different things that were looked at. And so the really nice part about that is there are some of the art in there that is going to make outstanding t-shirts and hats for Josh to promote and whatever we want to do in there. And so we certainly will use that. And that's one of the other thing that I wanted to relate to you really quick. And that is, you know, before we completed the new sign, visitor sign for the powerhouse, we had already contracted and have received pins that we can sell. We will, and these really, they are the sign, okay, and they're really, really cool. And so we will also be packaging those in such a way that Josh can show you there that these will also be done in small custom boxes that we will use as giveaways for people that come to the city or special guests of the city. So that the city manager and the mayor will have these in hand all the time. So we're really excited about that. But getting back on Geo, so we will have, and I will, as soon as that is given to us from Geo with all the final stuff, I will get those documents out to all of you, so you'll see what we'll be working with. One of the things that the city manager asked us to look at was some monuments for the city. So we will certainly, this logo more than addresses new monuments at the entrance of the city. And one other thing that I think it'll be used in all the vehicles. The one nice part about this logo is it has the ability to move wording in and out of it with no effect whatsoever, except to embellish, say, the tourism piece or the relocation piece or the industrial piece. So again, I'll just wet your whistle with that a little bit, and then as soon as that comes out, we'll be implementing a program and guidelines for all of that. So one of the other things that I wanted to reflect back on just really quick, so I didn't forget, we also were through some research and due diligence, we were able to grab, and Josh could tell you a little more, a billboard that we never had a chance to get before that became available up near Seligman that will route to us. And so we are looking right now at the design to reskin that, but we will also be redoing all of our billboards into the city. So we'll keep you posted. We'll certainly look for ideas there, but to send a bigger and stronger message. And one other thing that kind of compounds on this, and that is I've been in correspondence with Scott Dutton quite a bit. We have been working on getting Shinnerump Road renamed to Old 66. They have been successful. I believe, I hope anyway, that the county money was put up. And so in cooperation with ADOT, instead of hitting you off on Shinnerump Road, you will head over for Old 66. So again, capitalizing on those things that we do have. But we're excited about Geo. I think if the chairman would like to say anything, they were a great company. They were Arizona based. They understood rural communities, and they didn't just hand us a logo. They literally handed us a guide. And so we will be using that like we do the other for the implementation. Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, Geo was very helpful. I remember when we picked them, I was kind of apprehensive, but they really went all out. The logos and branding things that they sent to us, I know that the committee was kind of split on a few of them, but I'm pleased that we'll probably use more than just one art form that they come up with. There was some really modern, and then there was an old town feel one, and hopefully we can all get to look at all that stuff. But they really did a thorough job, I thought. It was nice working with them.
Yeah. Are there any questions?
Okay. we'll move on to old business. I think we already did that. Didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. Okay, next we gotta move on to new business. I wanna welcome, of course, they didn't show up today, our new commissioners, and hopefully when we get together on the dais in the city hall that we can get to meet the two new commissioners. I do know one of them, I know Nikki, she was talking to me before about getting on commission, and she came to us from the Clean City Commission, and I think the other one, what's his name, Rennie, is Chamber of Commerce.
It's her husband.
It's her husband.
Yeah.
So that should be a pretty good asset there. We'll be able to link the two together, and I think we can get some better ideas from these two individuals, some new ideas, and add to our commission. It'd be nice to sit down with a full commission when we go through some of this stuff.
You can vote them in today.
Yeah. I thought they already voted in by the council.
Well, you have to formally accept them now.
Okay. Okay. So I'll take a motion to accept the two people into the commission. I'll make the motion.
A second.
You got a second from Deborah. Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Everybody? Thank you. Okay, the motion passes. Okay, next we have announcement by commission members, limited to announcements, availability, attendance at conferences and seminars, request for agenda items for future meetings, and request reports from staff. No discussion on any item is accepted. I do know that Gary and I, before the COVID shutdown, put together a pretty nice agenda, I think, that we will, I'm going to ask Gary to bring forward for our next meeting, because there was a lot of committees and stuff that was going to be announced in that. So any of that we can use, Gary, on our next meeting would be really good. Anything else from anyone else?
I would say at this point, we don't know when they're going to lift this meeting thing, but hopefully at our next meeting, we will be able to do the face-to-face and have the extended meeting time and stuff like that. But currently, up until into June, the city has still set up everything to do it via Zoom. So we're finding that, and I'm sure people like Steve and everybody else, that's just about the way we're living today. I mean, I think last week, Bennett and I had, and Sylvia, no less than 5 meetings on Zoom in one day. So you can get a lot done. It still doesn't have that same personal contact, but it's certainly something that we're learning to live with there. So, and we're keeping Deborah out there. So.
Yeah, Deborah. Keep you awake, Deborah. Okay. Anybody else have any input, questions, anything like that before I close the meeting?
Hey, this is Mary. There's just a couple of things that we've talked about over the last few months, put on hold from COVID-19, but that would be to work with the city and downtown to create some bicycle taxis. Maybe they could be painted to be the look of the new graphic standard, but we have the money with the Arizona at Work dollars to purchase the bicycle taxis, and we can use our WEX program to staff them. It would just, the city would we would ask if the city could accept the fares, figure out a method to accept the fares, and then cover insurance and storage for the bicycle taxis.
Okay, I'll make sure that's on the next agenda.
Then we have a possible garden that we had I talked to Deborah about. Maybe the community garden could design this. The standard is willing to lease the land where the building burned down there to the city for, you know, a nominal fee, like $1 a year. But if the city would cover liability, and they had said that they would be putting bath there if we have that building.
Mary, I can update you a bit on that. I've had some conversations with our city attorney and also with the other departments, and we will certainly revisit there. I think that the city is more than willing to provide water and stuff like that,
Gary,
but
excuse me.
yes.
You cannot have discussion.
Oh,
She
you're
can
right.
only let you know.
Thank
Sorry.
you. I'm sorry, I wandered off. I'm sorry. All right.
Okay. Put that on the agenda, please.
Thank you, Annie.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Make sure those get on our next agenda, and that's wonderful. I think two wonderful ideas, and we could definitely use certain things like that. I've seen them in other cities, and I got a couple other ideas that we'll have to bring up at a future meeting. But thank you for that. Anybody else? Okay then.
Take a motion to adjourn.
I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Second? Nope.
First and second.
Okay, I have
Okay.
a first and a second.
Sorry.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you all.
Meeting is
you.
adjourned.